Ooh, come on, check this out.
Be careful with that!
Pretty sweet, right?
Yeah, it's a Klingon bat. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. It doesn't matter. Shut up. I got it from an old guy with an iPad.
Lower Decks' first season was absolutely packed with throwbacks and references to past events, individuals, and locations from the franchise's illustrious history. The Cerritos crew was thrown in a familiar atmosphere following the events of Star Trek: The Next Generation, but with the adjustments that you'd expect from a new show. However, the numerous references that appear in each episode are what initially piqued the interest of fans and led them to become early admirers of the series. Join me as I take you through the top 10 moments from Lower Decks Season 1. Number 10. The Second Contact. The opening episode of the series immediately establishes that this isn't your standard Star Trek. Mariner swings a bat'leth around drunkenly till she lands it in Boimler's leg. The show had a shaky start, but it does establish hitherto unseen parts of the Starfleet. The Lower Decks approach pays off handsomely, especially on a ship like the Cerritos, which is a very unsexy ship doing pretty basic tasks after the fleet's main guns have done their thing. Number 9. The Dynamics of the Crew. The second episode of the series, Envoys, gives out the first clue that things aren't going to be easy in the time to come. The pilot episode introduces a key piece of Trek lore, but the second chapter of the series focuses on the crew of the U.S.S. Cerritos' human dynamics. Boimler becomes so envious of Mariner's abilities as a budding Starfleet officer that he quits his engineering job to look for another. It's not a good look for either of them. Mariner's unlikely persona is accentuated, and Boimler's comes out as a bit buffoonish. Number 8. The conflict between Boimler and Mariner. Lower Decks characters may not act exactly like the Starfleet of previous Star Treks, but the show delves into character dynamics in a way that few other Trek shows have. The episode Temporal Edict delves more into the simmering tensions between Boimler and Mariner as they strive to keep up with the ship's new work schedule. Fans of drama and tension may find it strange to see it in an animated series, but it's abundant in this one. Number 7. The Envious Episode. Cupid's Errant Arrow, the 5th episode of the series, seems to be based on the theme of jealousy. However, the roles are flipped this time around. Mariner is envious of Boimler's new girlfriend. However, the level of her emotions for him seems questionable till the season ends. Indy and Rutherford, the other members of the Ensign Squad, that is the centerpiece of the show, are green with envy over the equipment of other Starfleet vessels. There are also several humorous bits in the episode, like an Easter egg from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which has a bunch of Star Trek Easter eggs of its own. Number 6. The Murderous Artificial Intelligence Program. In its episode, Terminal Provocations, Lower Decks introduced a mascot-like version of the classic Starfleet Delta insignia, who also happens to be a funny riff on the old Microsoft assistant, Clippy. Badgie was created by Ensign Rutherford to work as a helpful training assistant inside the holodeck. While he started out friendly, however, it wasn't long before Badgie became a murderous program that turned against its creator. Badgie is not everything he seems, at least not like anything that is on the holodeck, where he emerges as part of a training program. At the end of the episode, Rutherford defeated his son, but Badgie still remained inside the holodeck. At that point, it was clear that the program would return to haunt the Cerritos one day, which came in the season's finale. Number 5. Boimler is out of phase. Lower Decks brings the franchise back to the era of Star Trek: The Next Generation, reminding fans that TNG is the best version of Star Trek. In the Much Ado About Boimler episode, a transporter problem sends Boimler out of phase, which is a fairly common sight in Star Trek. He glides around the ship like a ghost, and it's a fascinating exploration into who he is as a person. It also allows the personnel to bond with their colleague and buddy in such a dangerous situation. The clear reference to the Star Trek: The Next Generation episode, The Next Phase, highlights the show's strong ties to the 24th century and demonstrates why the TNG era of Star Trek is the best. Number 4. The Q Alert. We know Lower Decks is amazing on its own, but things got even better in this episode, Veritas, when the legendary villain Q suddenly made an appearance. After all, it's been some time since the Trekkies have seen the Next Generation character in all of its glory. Interestingly, Q made sure to confirm he can see the future by dropping some spoilers from Star Trek Picard. In the episode, the crew of the Cerritos became fed up with Q's random challenges and asked him to go find Picard for his shenanigans. It is at this point that Q tells them that Picard is nothing but Shakespearean and a vine maker. Hey, we already knew that, but the rest of the crew of the Cerritos didn't know it then. After all, the animated series took place in 2380, a full 5 years before Picard decided to retire from Starfleet. to become a winemaker. Needless to say, Q revealed to the crew what Picard would be doing in the future, but they were obviously too exasperated to care. Number 3. The Crisis of Genesis Device. Lower Decks' terraforming technology became a problem, causing a crisis akin to that caused by Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan's Genesis device. The Wrath of Khan is notable for the return of Ricardo Montalban as the malevolent Khan Noonien Singh, as well as the Genesis device, which serves as the film's MacGuffin. The Genesis device made its debut on Lower Decks, and the animated comedy's 24th century version proved just as problematic as Khan's weapon. The U.S.S. Cerritos and its sister ship, the U.S.S. Merced, were ordered to tow a Generation ship to a Federation starbase in Moist Vessel. The Generation ship was home to a long-dead alien culture that has now been preserved in cryogenic tubes. Moreover, the Generation ship also had organic terraforming technology, which turned out to be just as deadly as the Genesis device had been a century before. Tragically, the Merced's captain made a mistake, allowing the organic terraforming particles to escape and assault both starships. Natural rock and water formations ripped through the hulls of the Cerritos and the Merced, destroying their ships. Despite the fact that the Merced was destroyed, Mariner and Captain Freeman were able to beam the Merced's entire crew safely on board the Generation ship, which the Cerritos delivered to the nearest starbase, thanks to their rapid thinking. Fortunately, Mariner and Freeman were able to address the problem without any fatalities. Number 2. Taking a dig at the X-Men. In its 9th episode, Crisis Point, Lower Decks cheekily took a dig at the X-Men franchise. Although each episode of Lower Decks is filled with various Easter eggs and jokes about a variety of characters, species, and storylines from various Star Trek TV shows and films, Crisis Point is a thorough, full-on parody of Star Trek's own films along with other movie franchises. Crisis Point, a holodeck episode, is about Ensign Beckett, Mariner, resolving her differences with her mother, Captain Carol Freeman, by staging an elaborate film in which Mariner plays a Khan-like villain named Vindicta, seeking vengeance on the captain of the Cerritos. Mariner enlists the help of her fellow Lower Decks, Orion Devana Tendi, and Cyborg Sam Rutherford, to play Vindicta's henchmen as part of her treatment. Tendi, Rutherford, and Shempo, who is a stand-in for Ensign Brad Boimler, are referred to by Vindicta as my 3 horsemen of the Vinpocalypse, which was probably a dig at the mutant antagonist in X-Men Apocalypse. Number 1. Captain Riker and Counselor Troy. The Season 1 finale of Lower Decks had Captain Will Riker and his wife, Commander Deanna Troi, featured as the biggest guest stars from Star Trek The Next Generation yet. Lower Decks finale was thrilling for all the Trek fans, as it was the first time they saw Riker and Troi in command of their new vessel, the U.S.S. Titan. The U.S.S. Cerritos was rescued by TNG's first couple, and viewers learned exactly how deep Riker and Ensign Beckett Mariner's bond is. The Cerritos was being destroyed by a fleet of hybrid starships commanded by Pakleds when Riker and the Titan arrived. This was the first time Trek fans saw Riker, Troi, and the Titan in action. And they didn't disappoint, swooping in like the cavalry just in time. The Titan dispatched the invading aliens with ease and sent them packing. It was also amusing to see Captain Riker energetic and upbeat, while Troi was perplexed by her husband's contagious zeal. Riker gave the impression that he carried himself with the outsized personality of Captain Picard aboard the Enterprise. But now he has his own authority. He was more comfortable, assertive, and amusing. The Titan was also a massively powerful ship that lived up to the expectations of its fans. So, what do you think? What was your top moment from the first season of Star Trek's Lower Decks? Are you looking forward to another season of the Lower Decks? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and like us. I will see you next time on the channel. Until then, it's goodbye.